Good morning, everybody. Wow, unbelievable, very nice, awesome to have you all on board. And thank you very much for joining us this morning. And we have a very, very special treat for all of you this morning. It's my great pleasure to introduce an incredible special guest, but actually we should call him a special star because that's truly what he is. And for a long time, I had felt like I've known him for quite a long time because one of my favorite programs that he featured in was a program called Top Billing, which is a journal program and the most incredible content that was always presented on it. And, a lot of you might recognize the name, might recognize the voice. But I'm so excited about diving into it and to welcome our very, very special guest today, who's going to help us with the exact insights on what it takes to be an entrepreneur in our economy, in our country, in our world, and to get his insights of exactly what it takes to succeed. So a man that needs absolutely no introduction. I'm so honored to introduce you today and to hear and learn from you. So I'm going to kick it off and say welcome and over to you, our very special guest star, Tumisho Masha. Good morning and welcome.
Good morning, and thank you so much, Gideon, for that awesome welcome. I must say I was feeling a little bit nervous before we started because I'm going to be up in front of a group of psychologists, and I might be getting psychoanalyzed with every answer that I'm giving. So I better know my story today. But I'm very excited to be here, and I hope that I can add value to what it is that you guys are discussing. And I look forward to our conversation. I'm actually at the studio right now myself. I started my morning with a couple of voiceovers, and that's where I'll be going later on. But apart from being on television as an actor, as a presenter, one of the biggest parts of my business is actually using my voice to sell people products, to get under their skin and in their head and make them think that they really need another Toyota Bucky or another bit of insurance or a new credit card. That's really what I do.
Wonderful. Thank you very much for those added extra insights. And I'm pretty sure you're going to sell us today on our dreams and our own unique futures that we have planned for ourselves. So thanks again for making yourself available and for being on the session here this morning to come and inspire all these incredible, wonderful entrepreneurs, coaches, and mental health professionals. So thank you very much.
Only a pleasure. Only a pleasure.
Wonderful. So I've prepared a few questions that I would like to really get the nitty-gritty out of our time together. And if I can ask you to, if we can maybe just jump in straight away and get to the reason why we're all here today. And I want to kick it off by asking you, what is the biggest mindset shift that you had to make in order to understand that it is not about waiting for opportunities, but it's actually to go out and create them. So obviously you've got, a rich history of being in television, being very famous. And one would think that in your specific situation, people will just come knocking on your door all the time,
Right.
wanting to work with you, wanting you to be part of their project. And is it really like that? Is it really that easy that if you are famous, opportunities just comes knocking? Or do you really have to go out and make it happen for yourself?
I wish it was. I really do. Then my wife would get off my back a little bit more and let me just sit on the couch and wait for someone to call. But unfortunately, it doesn't matter how famous or you are or how well known your brand might be. You still have to go out there and market. And being in a space that's all about marketing.
Tumisho, sorry, you are muted. I don't know what happened there. If you can maybe just unmute yourself, please.
Sorry about that. Don't know what happened there.
No worries.
I don't know if you heard the first part. I was saying I wish it was that easy, that once you're famous, you don't have to get off the couch and people will just call you. Because then my wife would stop pushing me to go out and look for work all the time.
Just come here.
My
But
apologies.
basically,
Sorry, guys. Can you just please make sure that you are muted, please? Thank you. My apologies.
no problem. But as I said earlier, I work in the advertising space as a voice artist. And I find that no matter how big your brand is, whether it's Standard Bank, whether it's APSA, whether it's Toyota, one of my biggest clients, you can be known all over the world, but you still have to go out there and look for opportunities. I always say, make yourself someone who people are looking for. Have a brand story. What is your brand about? Uh, we always talk about someone like McDonald's. Their brand story is about consistency. You know that you're going to wait in a queue for a certain length of time. The food you taste in McDonald's South Africa is probably going to taste the same in McDonald's Vietnam, in McDonald's USA, and McDonald's everywhere. So it's also about consistency of what it is that you offer. And you have to go out there and look for opportunities. Opportunities will never come and look for you.
Oh, wow. All right. So the exact same challenge that you're facing, we are facing on a daily basis as well, to go
For
and
sure.
market yourself, put yourself out there, and no matter how famous you are, or how many things you've done in the past that was successful, it's always about what is your next big thing, what is the next thing that you're looking towards.
Exactly. Doing business is very much like putting yourself up on a dating site and constantly asking people to pick you. It can sometimes feel like it's a very humbling experience, but if you embrace it and you really go for it, it can be something that is quite enjoyable. Make sure that whatever it is that you're offering, there's a portion of that that you might be offering for free so that people know what it is that you do. So one thing that I do as a voice artist is I actually record every single day short little prayers. I'm a Christian. So what I do is I just to encourage people every day, I'll put my voice to a picture that is a scripture, and then I'll have a little prayer about it, right? Now, for some people, that might be totally irritating if they're not Christian, but be that as it may, every day you will hear my voice and you will remember that I'm available and that I'm there, and this is what I do. There are certain things that I will offer to do pro bono, whether it's for charity work, it's for my church, and that helps me stay out there. Then there are things that I will do that are more intentional. So, for example, I will have a very active social media space where I will use my voice so that people who are in advertising know that I'm still alive, still out there, and I'm still doing voices.
Fantastic. Thank you. That's an incredible insight there on what you do to stay front of mind, to keep on people reminding that you are who you are, you're adding value all the time, and not necessarily promote or advertise yourself, but you're adding value. You are creating content that validates for who you are and what you stand for. So thank you very much for that. That's amazing. Tumisho, if I may ask you the following question, entrepreneurs often experience rejection and failure. And,
Yeah.
how do you deal with setbacks? And the second question to that is, what strategies do you use to bounce back stronger?
Okay, that's a good question. I love that question. I once heard an analogy of we speak about water off a duck's back, but if you ever see ducks quarreling, if you've ever seen it either on a Google video or on YouTube, whatever, they kind of shake it off and then they move on again. And a lot of the times as humans, we get caught up in the holding on to that almost physical anxiety and tension. And a lot of the times we got to shake it off and move on again. I'll say to a lot of people who are in my industry, especially actors, Saturday night, you're at a big award ceremony. You've just won a South African Film and Television Award for Best Actor. Monday morning, you're in the audition room trying to convince someone that you can act. And that happens over and over again. You've got to embrace it. It's part of the process. I used to struggle with that and feel like I should be given this opportunity because, like I said, Saturday night, we were all together, the entire industry. You saw me lift up this award. Someone said I can act. Why are you calling me Monday to audition? Surely I should just be able to walk into this part. But it's just not how the business works. So I think the biggest thing that really helped me in life was learning that rejection is temporary. You have to go through a number of no's to get to that one yes. The more no's you hear, hang in there, because sooner or later you will get that yes. And all you need is one yes, no matter how many no's you've gotten. So no matter how many no's I get to this day, I mean, I went to an audition earlier, I think either beginning of Feb, yeah, I think it was beginning of Feb. I was supposed to do an international job in Cape Town, and you get told, oh, the producers loved you, but they just wanted an actor who stays in Cape Town and not in Joburg. So you get rejected for a number of reasons. Ultimately, you've got to know your own self-worth, and it doesn't matter if, for us in the acting world, it's about how do you look. So someone will say something like, oh my gosh, you've grown so old. We thought you were still that guy from Top Billing. Sorry, we can't use you. And that can be tough, but you got to pick yourself up and say, well, next time I'll get the part that fits me. Someone might say, oh, you put on weight. Unfortunately, we're looking for an action figure. Hey, shame, man. And for weeks you might feel like, oh, you beat yourself up. I'm too fat. And then you have to realize that, well, I'm like a couple of months away from 50. Maybe I should just go for parts that would suit me and stop wanting to play a Marvel superhero, So rejection is par for the course. Don't let it hold you down. Dust yourself off and try again.
Wow. Love that. Absolutely love that. And I was so happy to see that you are also an August baby, and you were also born in 1975. So
Yeah.
you're just 9 days older than me. 9 days.
Wow.
Can you believe it? So
Unbelievable.
we can definitely exchange a few notes about turning 50 this year.
Right?
Absolutely. So thanks for that insights, and the mindset of just need to bounce back and just do it again.
Mm.
One of my mentors used to say, even if you don't feel like doing it, you just get up and you just do it again. Find one more person that you can talk to, one more person that you can, even if they in the park passed out from having a drink last night, put them back up and do a pitch one more time. Just tell them about your story one more time. Just do it one more time, and it will find its way to the right people. So yeah, thank you very much for that. The next thing is I want to find out from you, what is the one belief that you had to let go of in order to thrive?
That's a really good question. I've been spending a lot of time thinking about that. But I think the biggest belief that I had to let go of in order to thrive, and maybe it's a two-part answer to this, but the first part is having a picture of success that maybe fits the mainstream, but might not fit me. Success is not a one size fits all. We don't all have to be the cover guy on GQ magazine to feel like we're successful, whatever that looks like. And sometimes we try and squeeze ourselves into these pictures that might not actually exactly work for us. I had to realize that for me, maybe success was not going to a place like Hollywood, because when I was younger, I had ambitions of working there. But staying in a place like South Africa, I find that I'm actually doing enough Hollywood work, if you will, where I play a number of parts that are films that or TV series that would be made in LA, but are getting made in Cape Town. So success is quite a different picture for me. And I think more than anything, success is freedom. It's, am I still enjoying and loving what I do? Am I still doing it at the highest level that I can do it at? And do I still find time to connect with the people that I love? Because I'll put it in my industry terms, growing up or being a younger artist, success was I'm at the Oscar Awards. I'm in a new television series with such and such a big star. I'm in another movie with a well-known star. I'm starring in this and I'm working and I'm working and I'm working. But that's probably not very sustainable in the long run, nor is it even maybe desirable as I get older. But I find that being successful for me is having enough in terms of provision and resources, and then being able to spend my time with the people that I love. And once you change your idea of success, I think a lot of the things that we chase is quite different. It stops being about the monetary values. It stops being about the extrinsics, and it starts being about personal wellness. You guys in the mental health space, you can't really help someone if you yourself mentally are not in a good space. So I think it's most important that you are in a good space first. You are happy. You are fulfilled in what you're doing. And you'll find that that will then create a space for you where you feel some sort of success, even though maybe sometimes the books don't always add up. Because I think money comes and money goes. But ultimately, how many people's lives are you touching? How many people are you helping in what you have been purposed to do is more important than the size of your practice and maybe the size of your bank account even.
Wow. Wow, I really love that. And if I hear you correctly, it's, what you're trying to say is it's all about finding that balance. And
Yeah,
where you can have the fame and you can have the success, but you can also feel fulfilled and you can also feel like you're making a difference.
that's right.
Yeah,
That's right.
that's it. I think a mentor once said it the other day. He said it the best. He says that just try and be yourself. Everybody else has taken, so just try and fit into your own space and be unique and honest with yourself, because that will allow you the opportunity to obviously deliver the way you can deliver.
Oh, of course. That's right.
Thank you. So, how do you personally define entrepreneurial resilience? What does it mean to you to have that resilience, or to be able to develop a career, no matter where you're at? If you have to start all over again, is there anything that you would do different?
Probably not. I think for me, entrepreneurial resilience, I'd say I have a picture of a cockroach. In the 80s, there was this great, it was quite scary documentary about the apocalypse if we had to have a nuclear war. And one thing that the scientists said at the end is, probably the only thing that would survive that is the cockroaches. And I've looked at cockroaches and they're very resilient. They'll survive anything. They'll do what it takes to get through. And I think sometimes as an entrepreneur, you got to see yourself as like, hey, I'm like a cockroach. You can stomp me, you can spray me, you can sweep me out the house, but I'll find a way to come back again. I've had many falls in my business. I've being canceled from the industry itself, and I've always found my way back some way, somehow. And I think if you have that spirit of, it doesn't matter what you do to me, it doesn't matter what happens to me, I will come back. If I end up, God forbid, being in a terrible car accident, I'm in a wheelchair, I'll be that actor in a wheelchair. Every part that has a wheelchair part, I'm taking that one. So don't ever think that if this happens to me, I'm finished, because that's then a limitation you put on yourself. And as an entrepreneur, if you have to work out of, a back room somewhere, then that's what you have to do. Just make sure that you keep coming back and don't let anyone or anything stop you.
Yeah, thank you for that analogy. And you probably that's probably the one thing that's going to stick with me from today's conversation, is to be like a cockroach.
Natasha says a Parktown prawn, especially those ones, Natasha.
A popcorn prawn. Oh yeah, absolutely. Fantastic. So the next thing I wanna ask you is, we are all in the mental health space, therapists, coaches, life coaches, NLP practitioners on this forum. And it can sometimes feel that it's a bit of a crowded market. There's so many people that does what I'm doing, or that's doing what I'm doing. And how do you position yourself to be that go-to person in your specific field? So you obviously, from an acting point of view, there's like you said, there's many people that can play a certain part. But what do you do to stand out? What do you do to make sure that you get remembered? Apart from using the cockroach analogy, what else do you have up your sleeve to make yourself stand out?
I think within your own skill set, within your particular field, always try to be the best that you can be. I'll tell you guys a secret about being an actor and these TV shows. You watch a show about doctors, or you watch a show about policemen, or you watch a show about firemen. Have you noticed that every time you watch a show about a particular profession, those professionals seem to be the best at what they do, especially the American ones, you know, the best fireman you've ever seen, the best doctor you've ever seen. And then in the real world, you find that not everyone is a very serious police officer. They're just on the job, jobbing, you know, they just go to work, get it done, go home. But as an actor, I always have to be the best because my work is seen on screen. If you tell yourself that even if nobody puts me up on a screen, I have to be the best at what I do, honestly, you'll always have work, and that's how you differentiate yourself. And you know, I think in the profession, in any profession really, the first thing is about caring about what you do. You know, I think that for me, I put a lot of care in what I do. Every time I'm about to do a part, I say to myself, I'm not just here to earn a quick buck. I'm not just here because I really can't afford to. Honestly, to tell you the truth, I can't afford to just take this new gig on screen to just earn a quick buck because you'll see right through it. You'll see that I'm not doing the right thing. So every one of them has to be the best work I've ever done because you're only as good as your last gig, as they say in my profession. And I would encourage everyone to do that with every client that you see. Put in some care. Does that mean you won't have bad days? No, you'll have some days where maybe things didn't fall into place the way you hoped that they would. Maybe the advice you gave or the way you listened wasn't the way you would have hoped it would be. But you'll find that you'll have less of those days because the most important thing is caring, you know. I always say when you care about your work and what you do and think of it as more than work, because our work is like part of our purpose. It's the biggest part of what we do, who we are. I'm more of what I do than I am a father to my daughter, a husband to my wife, because I spend most of my time doing this. So I have to care about it. I have to leave people with an impression that for that moment that I'm with them, I was totally tuned in. I was totally focused. I was totally about my client at that moment.
Wow. That's amazing. Thank you so much for sharing that. And I want to ask a few people on the group. How are you enjoying this interview that we've got of this incredible young man in our presence, sharing all these incredible insights? Does anybody want to just quickly unmute and give us some feedback there and what you've learned and experienced so far?
What I've experienced so far is
Yeah, and for those of you that don't know, that's the AI version of PG Paradigm talking. So
Yeah.
thanks, Simpiwe.
It's actually a wowing moment because what Tumisho has just said, it's what all of us are able to do, but we don't pay much attention to that. We always think something out of us should make us, and tapping into yourself, like focusing, be in the moment, do your best. It's actually what it should be. But we always worry about what are they going to say? Am I good enough? So we tend to go into a self-sabotage stage when now we lose it all. You know, it's not about what people say that we should worry. We should worry most of the time about what am I giving to the people. I must give them me, so that I become authentic. And he has just hit the nail. It's so, so true what he has said. I'm really amazed. I'm happy for his presence. Thank you.
Thank you so much. That was amazing. Thank you. And there was a message that came through on the chat as well that said it's not people catch who you are, not what you say. So, we can clearly see that you're not just here to fill the space today and give us some wise words, but it's actually who you are, Tumisho. So thank you so much for being real and for being here with us today once again.
Thank you.
Lucia?
I just want to say what's very obvious for me is the light that shines through you. I had a discussion with a young girl earlier this week, was very distraught, and she's like in that stage where she's stuck in her life. It's taken her 4 years now to try and find a job. For 4 years she's been searching for a job, and she's only got rejection. And when she started to talk, I asked her, so why are you here? And she put through all of the complaints, and then suddenly she said, you know what, I remember a time that I was at church and I was actually looking after kids, and in her third sentence, she started to glow. And I think it's that kind of inspiration, that light that we shine from within in us, that ultimately feeds and supports and grows people. And I always say, if only one. So you came here today, and even if you only touched one, you touched us all by sharing your light with us. And that's the thing that always, for me, being in this position, I always feel humbled and extremely privileged to be in touch with someone that's light really shines so bright. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Lucia, for that observation. And if I may, also just share a quote, an Instagram post that Tumisho actually made on the 27th of July in 2020. I don't know if you can remember that post that you made.
Yeah, I hope it wasn't something crazy. If, like, my team Sundowns lost and I probably had a meltdown.
No, we'll forgive you for the team, just next time, just pick a better team. So it says here, I woke up with this headline this morning: the more time I spend in God's word, the more I realize there's much to defend. It's either you believe it or you don't. It's either real or is not. And I think that is extremely fitting for what you've just told us this morning. Don't try and be something that you're not. You either believe in it or you don't half-ass it. You get in and do it and just follow through. And it's whenever your truth is in the content, it's without undermining and bringing down the beliefs of others, which was quite profound what you wrote there in 2020. And I can honestly tell you that I can see that you are living those principles. So thanks once again for sharing that. Is there any other observations for Tumisho? Is there anybody else want to say something? Didn't get all the hands up. Remember to...
Yeah, I do.
There we go. Yes, Alsha.
Okay, hi, Tumisho. It was how are you? It was so interesting to hear you, having been in the television world, as most of my colleagues know, for 50 years, and people really think it's easy. If you're a star, you're a star. And I think that what's so important about you is your humility, is because, as you say, for all of us, we're only as good as our last job. And so it's a difficult industry. People who are not in the industry think, wow, it's all glamour and glitz. But you and I both know it's not. And I think that it's your humility that really makes you a star and makes us want to put you in our shows.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else want to ask a question or make an observation? Wonderful. Thanks, guys. Just remember to mute yourselves, please, to make the background noise as little as possible. So, Tumisho, I want to ask you a question about storytelling and building a personal brand. And from your personal experience, how can professionals use storytelling and their personal brand to communicate effectively, or to get that, or to speak the language of their client, or speak the language of the industry that you're in? So in your case, it's being an actor, and obviously you need to sell yourself to a producer. How important is that storytelling and building a brand?
Well, I'll say this. I think all of us, I mean, you said it very well, be yourself because everyone else is taken. But it's such an important saying. And that's the basic genesis of how you build a personal brand. Be yourself first. And once you know who you are, you will find that yourself will resonate with others who are looking for just who you are. You know, especially in a space like a mental wellness space, all of us are looking for a coach, a therapist, a counselor, but we're definitely not going to resonate with everybody. You know, I might be looking for a gentleman who is a little bit at my age, has gone through a lot of life, and is at a point now where they can really help me deal with some of the things I'm struggling with. I might be looking for a lady who I feel like maybe she can listen to what I'm saying and empathize with me, and you know, kind of give me a more of a female viewpoint that is softer, kinder, and at that moment, that's what I might need. Now, I'm just talking as a layman, so I'm not someone who is in the industry, but I'm just talking also as a potential client. So when you tell your story, that's where we go to pick you, you know, in a way, but based on the story that you tell. So tell the story of who you are, and don't worry because of how many people you'll get. The truth is you won't appeal to everybody. There are a lot of roles that I just won't play anymore. Even if I wanted to, I'm probably not going to play a 25-year-old at university, you know, or a playboy. That just might not happen. But heck, you know, I can play a really great 40 to 55-year-old, you know. I can probably play a great father. I can probably play a great husband. I can probably play certain roles that are just linked to who I am right now. And that's okay because those are the only ones I need anyway. So don't worry about trying to be a catch-all. Rather be specific about the clients that you want. So I'll give you a very good example. I spoke about the fact that I do a lot. I've been doing Toyota voiceovers now for probably the last 15 years, and I've seen the evolution of the brand over the last 15 years. And I find that even though I don't drive a Toyota, it has a very specific market. And that's who we go for every single time. We go for someone who wants that particular kind of car. And they are one of the leading brands in the world. Most people who drive BMWs probably wouldn't buy a Toyota. But if you want a utility vehicle that can get you to places in reasonable comfort, that's the car that you'll go for. If you want a performance vehicle, I would suggest you look elsewhere. So with your own personal brand and story, be that person, and people who want you will come to you. People who want something else, it's much better if they go there, because you don't want someone who's trying to do donuts in a Toyota Hilux Bucky. It's not going to work.
I hear you. Thank you very much for reaffirming that uniqueness that you need to bring, and then you need to communicate that uniqueness in everything that you do from start to finish. And yeah, absolutely magic. So in your own opinion, what is the biggest mistake that people make when they trying to build a name for themselves in any business, whether that is, you know, in your industry or as a coach or as a therapist or any mental health professional that's on this call today? What would you say is the number one thing that where they make a mistake?
I think, you know, going back to that thing of we try to be everything to everyone, and that's something that you can never be. Know who you are, and then have a target market in mind that these are the people that I'll probably resonate best with. And yeah, you might have a few anomalies and exceptions along the way, and you might find that like really interesting. But for the most part, we resonate with a certain sector of the market, as we say in our business, you know. And that's just that. It's just how it goes.
Wonderful. Yeah, thank you for that. So guys, if you do have any questions for Tumisho, we're going to allow a few questions towards the end. I hope you don't mind. So if you can think of any questions that you might have, or some burning questions you want to ask someone, and if you're not too starstruck, you know, you can unmute yourself and ask that question as well. So what is the biggest decision, or the one decision that you've made in your career that had the biggest impact on your success? What is that one thing that you can say, man, this is the thing that really made the difference for me?
Oh man, that's a good question, and I don't want to sound like I'm answering the different questions in kind of the same way. But I think the biggest thing that made an impact is just accepting myself for who I was and then trying to work within that, you know? So just to give a big basic background, and this is something that I kind of had that was good, but I struggled with for a long time. I grew up in the 80s at a time when it was quite difficult growing up and getting an education. As a Black person, you either had to, your parents, if you were lucky enough, could put you in a school like a private school, or you had to go to school in the township. I was fortunate enough that they put me into a private school. So that came with all of that, you know, the privilege, the accent, blah, blah, blah. Come the new dispensation and everything changes. And like South Africa, we're finding our way. At first, being that top billing guy with that nice accent, that nice English accent was working for me. Then there came a time where it just was not. And I had to make a decision. Do I stick with it? Do I change it? What do I do? One, I found that, and it might sound like a contradiction, be flexible, but still remain who you are. And I found that even though I am able to play parts that might not be as refined and sophisticated, so to speak, if I can put it that way, and maybe put it in a way that's kind of blunt, be more street, if you will. I can do that because that's part of the diversity. So as a business person, be able to be diverse, but at the same time, have that thing that you are and stay true to it. And know that everything is cyclical. So I find myself now where actually this, what they call this private school accent that I have kind of works for me, because a lot of what I do as a voice artist is, hey guys, I sell you insurance, as I said, banking products and cars, you know, and that kind of requires a certain sound that works, you know what I mean? And I'm fine with that. But if needs be, and I need to sell you something from Wimpy, I will switch it up, man, you know, and I'll tell you, go to Wimpy, get yourself a coffee and breakfast. If I, you know, so.
Oh, that's so just want to mute again. Sorry about that. Fantastic.
No
So I love that, being more flexible and being more in the moment, and you know, turn it up when you need to turn it up. And sometimes we all need to do things that's uncomfortable. And
Yeah.
I think Jim Rohn says it the best. He says, do the uncomfortable until it becomes comfortable. So
That's right.
I really enjoy that, because it really resonates with what we do. You know, we never know when we're going to get a client that we're going to be in contact with them. They're going to reach out. We're never going to know what their challenges are going to be. We're never going to know what they need help with. And we need to be extremely flexible within that conversation. One, to show that we can solve the problem, and two, that we can actually help them to transform and to move forward and to get an outcome. So yeah, very, very important. So thanks for making us aware of that once again. So Tumisho, the next thing I want to ask you is about passion and profitability. So, you know, we are a business. We need to pay the bills at the end of the month, and you know, finding that balance between passion and profitability. So where should entrepreneurs put their focus? Should it be number one on passion, fulfillment? Should it be on profitability? And if it needs to be on both, how do you find the balance? What do you do to correct imbalance should you discover or be aware that you've got that imbalance?
Yeah, that's a good question. So I say have that balance between profitability and passion, because one cannot work without the other. I want to just talk about passion for a while, because a lot of the times our biggest fear is that if we give too much away, it takes from us and will become smaller and smaller. It's almost like we think that life is having a pie, and if I give slices away, I've got a smaller pie. But life is not a pie. Life is more like, I'd say, a river. You know, it's not a lake, it's a river. It flows. And the more you give, the bigger you become. And I say that to say this. So because of the kind of business that I'm in, I find that a lot of friends and family members will ask me to do a lot of freebies, which for the most part is okay. You know, I'm there at your wedding and I know you, so I may as well be the MC, right? But it's not something that if I do more of, I will get tired of, or I will have less of it to give. If anything, the more of it that I give away, the better I get at it, because now I'm open to a wider audience. I can deal with audiences in different segments of the market and different groups. And actually, when I do it professionally, I'm always, as it was, practiced, because I'm always working. So I find that a lot of the times we're very afraid to give ourselves away. So professionals in the professional industry, like lawyers, my sister's an accountant, and a lot of the time she'll be like, oh, I hate doing stuff for family because you all expect it to be free. And I'm like, dude, it's not like you're always busy. And this is your practice. This is what you do on a daily. So the more you do it, the better you get at it. And if it's connected to your passion, then you never feel like, I'm at work. I honestly never feel like I'm at work. I always feel like I'm just having a great time. But then what that does is you must be sure that you can also connect that to a profitability side of things, where you're not seeing so many pro bono clients that you don't have time for the ones that are paying. So it's about making sure that you must remember you're one person. If it's not possible, say, I can't do this pro bono because I have a client. But if I don't have a client at that time, I'll be happy to help you. And you'll find that a lot of the times, a lot of people that you might have helped and you were like, they should be paying me an hourly rate for this, go out and talk about you. And word of mouth is one of the best methods of advertising there ever was. And you could get 10 clients out of that. Yeah. So never be afraid to be passionate, because that does add to profitability. And never be too profitable to not be passionate. You know what I mean?
Sure, that's well said. I'll definitely remember the next time when I see an MC, it could be some producer from some hot movie somewhere sitting and waiting to audition. So even if you are the MC, you never know who's in the audience, right?
Exactly. That's exactly right. So, I mean, when it comes to profitability, I say do the homework that is required, market yourself, use the tools that are out there right now. I'm not saying be a TikTok psychologist or a TikTok mental health person, but post stuff every day that might make people aware that you're aware of the zeitgeist and what's going on. South Africa is such an interesting country. Every single day, there's something that happens that makes us have to remember our mental health. Post something, say something that reminds people, I'm not dealing well with the current situation. For example, everything that's going on right now, maybe politically, and people are feeling overwhelmed by it. Say something like, it doesn't matter what might be happening in the news right now. Things always seem to work themselves out. Just hang in there, keep doing what you do, and you'll be fine.
Oh, wow. Sure. Big lesson for all of us. Thank you very much for that little bit of insight there. I think we can all do better, just to disconnect from everything that's going on and just focus on what we can do on a daily basis. And also remember, exactly where our client is at, or our potential client could be at, and what they must be going through. So thanks for that. Tumisho, the next thing I want to ask you is, we all love something, and we all have a certain way of doing things. And I think you've refreshed that and rehashed that a few times, what your passion is and what your love is, and that you need to be flexible within what the market needs as well. So just from an entrepreneur's point of view, where do you draw the line in terms of being true to yourself, and then to step over that little bit of a boundary, move out of your comfort zone to actually go and deliver something that the marketplace might be in need of, and that you can fulfill in that specific point in time?
So I thought about that question quite a lot, because it's like, are we going to be selling out if we are looking at what the market needs? And for me, the analogy would be growing up, going to a very serious drama school like Wits University, where we dealt with Shakespeare and theater, and then having to transition to do soapies and commercials. It felt like I was selling out. But here's the thing, that is what's happening, be where it's happening. And I had to learn that I can still bring a lot of professionalism. I can still bring a lot of my talent and what I've been taught formally into that makes those kind of things that sometimes we might look down on even better. So go with what the market requires and learn to love it and learn to bring who you are and your passion and your excellence to it, even if it might seem like maybe you're dumbing things down, maybe you are diluting yourself to be part of going after what the market is. Remember that you are still someone who's there to help. And if what they need right now is a soapy type actor, then I'm going to go in there and be soapy, man, and then bearing in mind that I'm going to do my soapy stuff with that sense of, but I can still do Shakespeare if you need, and I can bring that level of realness and authenticity to it.
Excellent. Sure. Thank you. And, as an entrepreneur, at some stage in our lives, we go through a time where everything is absolutely magic. And then there's this time where, you have this inner struggle and you feel stuck and you feel the imposter syndrome flooding your mind and occupying your space all the time. If there's anybody listening to this call today and might be going through something like that, where they feel stuck in their business, they've done a few things that didn't quite work out, they tried a few other things, didn't work out, they maybe adopted a mentor or two, things didn't really work out, and they really just feel stuck. What do? Do they give up? What is their next move? What is the advice that you can give them for them to move forward, to get unstuck?
Yeah, thanks for that question. I just want to say this quickly and then I'll answer it. So I'm in the studio. I'm still recording. I'm going to need to just pop out for 5 minutes, record something and come back if that's okay, if we're still doing this. But before I do, I'd say, if you're feeling stuck and you're feeling like, how can I change gears? The word I'm looking for is, I'm trying to find the exact way of putting it, but like changing up your brand and being reborn, as it were, is something that we're going to have to do all the time. Someone can maybe help me with a better word for that, where you come back as a new version of who you are. A lot of the times I was known as that guy, either on Isidingo as Dumisani, who wears the suits and speaks in a certain way, or on Top Billing. But changing up the brand and maybe coming back as a guy who's a bit more casual for a certain amount of time. And now I'm wearing jeans and sneakers, but I'm still who I really am, authentically myself. And there's nothing wrong with that. Go with the flow because you can. Because there are a lot of things that we think, if I change my hairstyle, my spectacles, the way I dress, the way my practice is set up in terms of traditionally, we think that it has to be, I come into your practice, you sit on a single-seater couch, I am on a two-seater, and we talk. It has to be that way. What about if we met, for example, at a coffee shop? It was a little bit more informal. Yes, there is an issue of privacy and we're talking about things that are very personal. How do we make that work within an environment that still works for everybody? Nowadays, we're going online more and more, and it's working for us. It doesn't really take away from being in a space with your therapist that is personal. It's not less personal. We're used to it. We're used to talking to each other on a screen. If it requires that I have to be overseas for something, but I still need your help, we don't have to wait 3 weeks. By then I might have lost my mind, literally. Let's go on a Zoom call or a WhatsApp video call and let's make it happen.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for that. And I'm going to have one more question for you and then I'm going to let you go. I know you're extremely busy, and thanks again for making this time available for us. The last question I've got for you is, I know you are a father and a husband. And what is the legacy that you want to leave for your loved ones?
I want them to remember me for who I really was, not for what I was, not for all the stuff that they might see in the magazines, on the TV screen. I want my daughter one day when she's 50 and, someone sends her a clip of me many years ago and it's funny and it's whatever. And she sees this character on television to go, yep, that was a character my dad portrayed, but I know the real person. And that gives me a lot of joy and satisfaction that he got to spend a lot of time with me and gave me himself completely. So I think that the legacy that we can really leave, it's not really like leaving lots and lots of money unless you're someone like Bill Gates or even people like Warren Buffett, they're not really leaving their children all that money, are they? They're saying that kids must still work for it. So ultimately, I think your kids don't, and your loved ones, it would be nice to get a nice inheritance when they pass away. But more than anything, it's that memory of who you were and what you meant to them every single day. I wanted to remember me taking her out and teaching her how to roller skate more than I left her $10 million.
I hear you. Sure. Incredible insights. Tumisho, I know you need to run, so I'm going to end it off there today and say thank you for making the time available. I know you had a very hectic schedule today and you really fitted us in there. We are really blessed that you spend this time with us. And from all of us, I want to say, please take care of you for us, because we will take care of us for you. And
thank you, guys.
Until we see each other again, look after yourself, be blessed. Thank you so much, everybody, for making this time available, and have a wonderful, wonderful Wednesday.
Thank you, guys, for having me. It was
Thank you so
a
much.
pleasure to talk to all of you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank
Thank you so much, Tumisho. Bless you. God bless you. Thank you, Gideon.
you. Bye.
Bye-bye, everybody.
Thank you. Bye.